Hey, welcome back to another episode in the Women of Tech YouTube series. It's Alexandra.
Alexandra is my full name.
Alexandra.
Yeah, but then the short version of Alexandra in Russian is Sasha, so...
Sasha.
Actually, it's funny because I introduced myself normally as Sasha for friends, but because of LinkedIn professional environment, I use the passport version, which is Alexandra.
Okay.
And sometimes, actually, Google had two processes on me. One for Alexandra.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
So yeah, it's sometimes confusing, but both work.
Both work. Okay, cool. Alexandra, there you go. It's easy. It's actually not too difficult. Would you like to just give a little introduction to yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Sasha or Alexandra. I'm actually from
or
Belarus.
both if you're Google.
Yeah. I was born in Belarus and then I lived in Portugal for 6 years and worked there. So most of my engineering experience actually happened in Portugal. Then I came to London to work here last year. So I'm a software engineer. I work with at OVO Energy at the moment. I volunteer for AnitaB.org. So also like women in tech communities, and that's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah.
Like a short introduction.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you mentioned that you like volunteer a little bit for Women in Tech. Yeah, could you just tell me a bit about that and how you sort of got into that, why you wanted to get into that sort of community?
So once I met my mentor, my current mentor, Lisa Lane. She's an incredible woman in engineering, and she's actually a point of contact of London communities, AnitaB.org. So I met her on the conference. It was actually Scala conference. It was LX Scala in Lisbon. So well, we just talked on the conference. We thought, okay, well, let's keep in touch. And once I was traveling in London, she invited me to a meetup organized by AnitaB.org. And I just joined, I liked it, and I was thinking, okay, why not to help? So I started to help even when I was in Lisbon.
Okay.
And the community is here, so I would just do online, everything I could do online, you know.
Oh. That's so cool that you joined in Lisbon and you started here, that's so cool.
We kept in touch like this for a year and something, and then I was thinking, why not to, you know, relocate here and actually be closer to this community. And
that's amazing. So in a way, Women in Tech was kind of one of the main reasons that you relocated to the UK.
Yeah, so because it's a big network, and it's a big network of support. There is a lot of mentors, and mentors are very important for women in engineering. So because mentorship of women from AnitaB.org helped me to close my pay gap, helped me to kind of fight the imposter syndrome. Lots of these issues that women actually deal in this industry. So it definitely changed my life.
Wow.
That day when I met her, that conference, and yeah, that's how I came here actually.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, this Sunday I actually completed like 1 year since I moved here, so yeah. Cheers.
Oh, congratulations, cheers. Oh, so like you touched on that imposter syndrome there. Do you feel like that was a massive thing that you struggled with before?
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was like junior to middle level engineer. When I was my first company in Portugal was a horrible struggle. I think because of that imposter syndrome, sometimes I wouldn't be as independent as I would like to be as an engineer. Like I would face some problem, and then I would just, you know,
feel like it's too much, I can't do
that's
this.
It's blocked. I would go ask for help, and like a lot of colleagues like also would sometimes give this feedback saying, sometimes it feels like you're blocking yourself from the solution. And
because you're like, I can't do this, I've messed up once, I'm just done.
Yeah, so it's a definitely very hard thing, and it's something that we all struggle with. So and because since I started to have mentors who would explain me how it works, I would recognize it, and then I would start to talk to other women, and they would kind of recognize it. So it takes time to, you know, kind of remove it.
It does, and it's not easy, and I feel like it's a constant battle as well. You're constantly reminding yourself, like, I can do this. There's no reason why I can't do this. I'm skilled enough to do this. I have the qualifications to do this. You have to constantly remind yourself.
You know, there was this joke saying that in engineering there is these two states, when one is like, oh my god, another is like, it's a wrong profession, I don't know like what I'm doing. So it's a little bit like this. Obviously, when things work, you feel happy.
Yeah,
But when
of
things
course.
don't work, sometimes you start to doubt. If you are in the right industry, so that's imposter syndrome. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. And the other thing you just touched on there was that having mentors. And I think having a mentor is definitely important for anyone. But like you say, definitely for women. I think that's because, I mean, you probably noticed that there's not many men as many men in tech. No. Not as many men, no. There's not as many women in tech spaces. So when you see the women at the Women in Tech events, and then you go to a company, I don't know what Over is like, I don't know what the companies are like that you've worked in before, but there's definitely the ratio of women to men is lower. Is that right?
It's actually, I feel that it gets better with time
Okay.
because it was much worse. I think, like, for me, I'm like 10 years in the industry approximately, and like 10 years ago, I think it was much worse. But yeah, there's still like lots of work to do in terms of inclusion because it's not just women. You know, there are more other underrepresented communities.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So I feel much better about the situation, but still, like, obviously. Mentors, not just mentor, a lot of mentors, they will help you to kind of get their struggle, understand, learn from their experience instead of, you know,
They
like
have
learning
that
the hard way
yeah.
sometimes because mentors, they have been in the industry, you know, before
Yeah.
we started. For example, like Lisa, she's many years in the industry and sometimes she would tell me things, you know, like I would start a new job, I would have some issue, I would just, you know, tell her one, two words, she already knows what it is about.
Yeah.
And it helps me to, you know, deal with situations with her vision, and sometimes I resolve them in a better way.
In a better way.
Yeah.
And knowing that someone else has gone through that before you as well just actually helps quite a lot.
Yeah, and actually there are lots of different situations like a woman can deal at work. Very different. With like with different colleagues sometimes, some situations also sometimes some cultural background can clash at work, and also like a mentor can suggest you, like, you know, for example, there is this book called Cultural Map.
Okay.
It was suggested by my mentor to read that book, and it gives a better perspective how to work with people from different cultural backgrounds.
Ah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Cultural map.
Yeah, and yeah, all kind of, you know, advices you can get from them. It's very important to have more than one mentor because also different people have different experience.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Would you say that's something that you sort of struggled with a little bit at work at times, the cultural barriers and the being a woman? Has that been like two things that have sort of gone together that you found, or?
I think, yeah, because also like being a woman, Eastern European woman in Portugal, sometimes I wouldn't be sure, like, okay, the situation happens. Would that mean first that it's because I'm a woman, or would that mean, you know, it happened because I'm Eastern European? So in some situations, you know, nationality goes first and then the gender. In some situations it's vice versa, but in general it's important to have also mentors from different cultural backgrounds if possible, so they can help you to understand sometimes. Because, for instance, again, like Eastern European people, we are known for being like very, you know, direct, sometimes even blunt, you know. And I think
it's not bad.
well, like that's not how things work in Portugal. People are more like sweet, you know, they like to smile. So there might be a bit of the clash when it comes to, you know, giving and receiving feedback. Because the way we give and receive feedback in Eastern Europe or in Iberian, you know, like
it's very different.
It's very different, and it can create some really good and bad situations at work. And yeah, it took me also some time to learn it. So, yeah, and also I think in different cultures, position of women in this industry is different. I personally believe that my experience was a little bit more harsh in Eastern Europe.
Oh, really?
Than in Portugal. Was more soft, and like England is even better for me than
Oh,
Portugal
really?
in terms of, yeah, I feel here I'm more comfortable at work. Working in a company here in England for me personally is much more comfortable because I feel safer, like it's a more safe space for me. So yeah, also sorry.
No.
So also like amount of communities of women in tech, if you see how many of them are in England, how many of them are in Portugal, and how many of them are in Eastern Europe, that explains it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so One of the reasons why I was volunteering for Anita.org London, because it was very hard to find communities in Lisbon.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to organize
was you?
Anita.org chapter for Lisbon,
Yeah.
but I didn't find enough engagement.
Oh wow.
I have a lot of women in tech, like
you
as
did
connections.
have, you did have the
Yeah,
connections.
I had connections on my LinkedIn, but then I think I needed to get like 30 to 40 women who are interested in this chapter, and then
Yeah.
I could like open up a community within that
Yeah.
NGO. Yeah, so I had those connections on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and like I met women on some meetups there. For example, there was my favorite meetup group was Lisbon DevOps. It was amazing talks, and there was
Yeah.
once a speaker I approached, and I would be like, "Would you be interested in opening up this chapter?" They say yes, but then when it comes to concrete engaging, I mean, maximum you can get from people is okay, they will reshare your stuff on LinkedIn, but that's it.
That was it. There was no.
Even though like, I know women tech makers powered by Google. Like, this community is also powerful there, but I know like 1-2 person, like women who are working there. I don't know what's the problem. So
No, yeah.
yeah, I didn't find enough engagement. And so yeah, then I decided to kind of relocate here. One of the reasons is because there is more response.
More
Feedback,
response, more
yeah,
feedback.
everything
So
is
people
more-
were just a bit closed off there, I guess, then in the tech community. Or was it just particularly women in tech? Was it
It's just particular women in tech. These
Oh,
other
okay.
communities, for example, Scala community, there is very developed. We all
Okay.
know each other personally,
Yeah.
and every one of us normally works because there are not that many companies that hire
No.
Scala people in Portugal, so everyone worked with everyone.
Yeah.
So it's just
Was there
women
many
in tech.
women in tech in Portugal?
Like community-wise.
Or just working?
No, of course, like yeah, of course, I had lots of women with who I worked. It's just I don't know, like I haven't felt that there was this interest.
No.
But that also it was like a couple of years ago maybe. Now it's
Yeah.
like the last conference I was speaker was Alex Scala and Reactive. I was the only female speaker there actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. For me, it's rare to see tech conferences with like one female speaker.
Yeah.
I believe that there is a tendency to have more diversity in conferences.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an effort to have more diversity. I think even in the UK though, I would say that there needs to be more women speakers in conferences. Because, you know, the women in tech conferences are great, but you need women in all the conferences, right? And also women from different, you know, ethnic backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, whatever. All this.
Yeah, and you know, one of the most common replies that non-diverse conferences will tell you is like, they do not apply. You know, which actually
they go, what does it say?
like because I even like with it was one of my former companies who was organizing that conference where I was a speaker. I had a conversation with them saying why it's not diverse, like why
Yeah.
all of the speakers they look alike except you know like okay, and they said they would be like, yeah, but what if these diverse people do not apply for our conference, like to give a talk? So
Okay.
that's the most common. And actually, I believe, I mean, just we didn't try hard enough, you know, because one of the conferences we organized here is Anita.org, London. It was Hopper X1 London last year.
Okay.
And it was Women in Tech conference. It was very diverse. We had like the whole day women who were like VP of engineering, you know, CTO, this kind of women, like the whole conference.
Yeah.
So like don't tell me they're not speakers,
No,
because
exactly.
we had like,
They
the whole
have the
conference
speakers.
just of women, you know, like and
Yeah. So the speakers are definitely there. That's the most stupid, like, sort of response ever. Like, we're just worried that they won't apply. Like, we'll just open it up then and then you'll see. Like, surely, yeah.
Even if they don't apply, like ask yourself how can you make the environment of your conference more friendly.
More comfortable.
So there actually, I think there is a website called like the Diversity Tickets or something like this, where some conferences actually do this effort, and some conferences do say that these tickets will be reserved for women. These like places like among speakers will be reserved for women. this kind of effort.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think it actually pays off.
Yeah.
I have some friends who have been like applying for scholarships, and there is a lot of initiatives. Even like in open source communities, there's this, how it's called, I think it's called Outreachy. It's like a scholarship
Okay.
for like underrepresented folks to come up with some projects, work
Yeah.
on them. So there's so many
There,
initiatives.
there are definitely the initiatives. There are definitely a lot of initiatives there. I think, and it's weird because we've spoken to companies in the past, and they'll say like, you know, we just can't find any women. We can't find any women to apply for. We want more women, and it's like, but we know the women are there. We know we see these initiatives that are run for diversity, and there's women in tech groups, and all of that is there. Like Black Girls Who Code, like all they're there. So why can't you find them? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't quite match if companies are saying that they want to hire more women, and they're there but they can't.
It's the same thing, you know, like last year I went to Grace Hopper celebration in Orlando. We were 20,000 women in tech. So there is like a photo, you can have a look, photos from Grace Hopper celebration. There are women in the industry, like at least like I've seen 20,000 top women in the industry with my own eyes. So I don't know, I think it's just lack of effort, lack of consideration. And actually also with this virus, lots of like work that was done towards diversity kind of rolled back, because when it came to redundancies, first to be redundant were actually diverse people. Yeah, like, you know, even I was made redundant in March. We were 4 people in the office, 3 women, 1 man, 3 women were made redundant. So it's like it happened to me, so I assume it happened to others. And like a lot of friends of mine, like women in this industry, they were very concerned with their job when all of the virus
because
came.
actually thinking about it, I guess that is a definite fear, isn't it? That you're going to be made redundant before a man, because that is kind of ingrained in society. That
I think it's like also as better company doing financially, it feels like company put more effort to the diversity. And then when there is a risk, and you can see them having this, you know, hysterical decisions like with redundancies, first people to go are, you know, underrepresented groups, normally women including. So I don't know why it's like this, but
I hadn't actually considered that. That's so like that's naive of me, really. I hadn't thought about that at all. I hadn't considered.
It's just I experienced it in this year, so it was really upsetting experience, but it's okay because I have a new job now. It's just a lot of friends of mine lost their jobs, and most of them were from minorities.
That's awful. That's really awful.
It is awful, yeah. But for me also, you know, like when I have to choose a company where I will go to work, and that's how I was choosing the current company, I would look always at what is their attitude with diversity. And I can say that OVO actually is a very good company. They do a lot of effort to hire more women. They definitely do a lot of more effort, even though like I started remotely, so majority of people I met was through the call on a screen. Still I have heard company talking about all kind of issues, even like, you know, when Black Lives Matter movement, when all of the situation with George Floyd happened, also people talked about it. For me, this is healthy sign. We have these conversations, we discuss about it. Like I see companies doing this effort. For me, it's healthy environment.
Definitely.
So I used to, you know, sometimes when I would look where to go for interview, go on LinkedIn and literally see faces of employees. If they all look alike.
Then
bad news there. Definitely for me, I would prefer to work in a company that make this effort. So.
100%. I can say that from my experience as well, actually. When I joined here, I didn't join here too long ago, like at the end of last year. And I think for me as well, it's like very clear to see there was a lot of women, in high positions, it was diverse, there was, you know, black people, white people, it's like, that's good. That's a good company I want to work in. I don't want to work in a company where it's like everyone's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, technology, it doesn't have one gender, it doesn't have
No.
one race, it doesn't have one, type. So definitely, like, I don't want to think of the technology and of this industry as something that, is only one of a kind. So I believe that different faces have to represent this technology and industry.
and it makes it a better environment to work in. And you need to have people with different perspectives, different outlooks on life, even just for the company to be successful at the end of the day, which I don't think companies really think that. I think they think being diverse is a good thing to do, it's the right thing to do. I don't know if they actually believe that it will be helpful to the company and people will be more productive, people will come up with new ideas better if they have diversity. I don't know if they really truly think that.
I think we're developing a software. How do we make sure that the software we develop is not biased? That's why diversity is important in the company, because if we develop software for the whole world to use, the whole world looks different. The whole world has different races, different genders, different ethnicities. So how do we make sure that our software is not biased?
What do you mean when you say make sure the software is not biased? Like for someone that doesn't know, how could software be biased?
Very simple. If you I don't know, like, imagine AI.
Okay.
If something is, I don't know, trying to recognize a face or something,
Okay.
you train your system that will try to put some associations with one type of face or another type of face. These kind of technologies, they were already used to oppress minorities, like, for example, I believe that Grace Hopper celebration last year, they rejected one of the company's sponsorship because they had a proof. I will not tell which company is this, but you can find it easily. Because they had a proof that the software that company was developing was used to oppress minorities. This situation with immigrants.
They were deliberately using.
They were developing something for the government to use it.
Oh wow.
Something like this. So
Yeah.
it's already happening.
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah. Absolutely. Face recognition.
Face recognition, all kind of technologies.
If you don't consider, if there's
Credit-
no one there to consider.
Credit score even.
Yeah.
Like all kind of systems that take decisions that can affect your financial, success or some credit that you might get from somewhere. All of this. How do you make sure that the decision the system makes?
Of course, because it's systems that will decide based on input of people's specification or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that makes so much sense.
Exactly. So if the team that developed this kind of software that, let's say, will run a credit check and decide
what heterosexual male has a better credit.
Yeah, exactly. That a woman, or I don't know, non-binary person, or how do you know which kind of input is used to even define your if you deserve to get a loan or not? Like this kind of things. And,
So it's definitely important, even from a practical sense, that there is diversity in tech.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There are thousands of examples like this, so it's very important because of that, not just because obviously it feels better to work in a diverse team, but there's this
practically there's also issues.
Ensure that nobody is being discriminated by the software we build. Simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. Earlier you touched on sort of situations you've been in maybe. And you said for you working here it's much better than working.
I feel that in the companies here it doesn't really matter what's my gender and what's my ethnicity and what's my origin, and that's said with a good perspective. I feel that here I have more chance of equal opportunities to local people being an immigrant than other countries. I believe, being an Eastern European woman, for me was much harder in Portugal than it is here. And I can feel the difference, salary-wise, everything, even negotiating salary with companies, being in this position in Portugal is much harder than here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's very important because women very often we are in the pay gap.
Mm.
So I feel that here in England, more companies they do an effort to kind of mitigate that pay
Yeah.
gap, and they talk about it as well.
Yeah.
The first company that hired me here, it was the first company with which we actually had a conversation about pay gap
Mhm.
during my interview. So
Oh wow.
never happened to me in Portugal. So just saying.
Did you bring it up in an interview? Did you ask the question?
Actually, it was an interesting situation because I invited the person who interviewed me to the conference
Oh, okay.
where I was a speaker, which was that HopperX one
Yeah.
conference. And he actually came and he listened to my talk. And well, that talk somehow impressed him, I don't know. So when I actually went through the tech challenge and we came to the financial discussion negotiation of the salary,
Yeah.
the company was asking me, well, how much do I want?
Yeah.
Myself as a person who trained to negotiate, I wouldn't respond. So we had there a bit of the situation when basically the recruiter told me, look, that person who have been on your talk, they really think that you are at the same level. So he said that at least you should get the same salary as him.
Okay.
Which
Wow.
is literally, it's incredible situation. So basically, somebody who doesn't know me, had a chance to interview me, had a chance to listen to my talk, decided that he will defend me from the pay gap. So
Yeah.
it happened here. So it's like, I know it sounds like
That's amazing.
It sounds like too good to be true.
Yeah.
So,
You should get the same salary as me. At least.
and yeah, so that negotiation finished. That I was using some ratings from the websites, showing them and saying, okay, the offer is still after you. These are the market rates that person told you to protect me from the pay gap. So you have all of this information. Make an appealing offer. And actually, they gave me offer and they gave a little raise to that person.
Wow.
So I just,
That's so nice. That's amazing.
it was
What company
nice.
was that?
Jufi.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, unfortunately they made me redundant in March. So yeah, it was sad, but also like, I mean, different times, different decisions. So I believe companies, they change their priorities when there is a financial risk, and that's how sometimes diversity is, it's put on the plate and sometimes it's removed from the plate. So, with this virus, it's all of the companies.
I mean, it's kind of changed everyone's thoughts in the whole world, hasn't it? And, like, for good or bad, it's changed a lot of people's priorities, definitely. So it's been a tough time, and yeah.
It has been especially tough time for women, I believe, because especially women who have kids,
Yeah.
work and take care of the kids. Like, I don't know, it's really, well, hopefully things are.
You have to work from home and you have to school your children.
Yeah, because there is no school, so yeah, unfortunately, don't know, because somehow society still expects that these things are women who do these things. So.
Are able to do this, yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So imagine, like, for women, like, especially like if you're a single mom and your company consider to make you redundant, but then you have kids at home, so that's like even worse than someone in my position. I don't have kids,
No.
So even for me it was scary to be made redundant.
Yeah, of course.
So considering that companies will most likely make redundant women first, what happens to those women who have kids to school at home, like, because also not all the companies pay the redundancy packages and stuff like this.
No.
Yeah, it's really challenging time for women.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I can't believe that, I mean, maybe very naive for me, but like, being told, companies will make women redundant first.
They will not tell you this, but like, you just need to see the statistics.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to see on the decisions that were made, to see who was actually made redundant.
Yeah.
Like, even if you ask your friends, like, that's what happened with my friends. All of my friends who were redundant, women or minorities, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
there, and it's facts, isn't it, and statistics.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's a bit, I really hope it will finish soon, all of this.
Yeah, definitely. So, last question. Well, we haven't really done questions. We're having a chat, but you know, what would you like to see next in the tech space? There's been so much controversy at the moment, hasn't there, in Scala community?
Yeah.
There's been arguments and controversy and Twitter, whatever. What would you like to see change in the tech space?
Less arguments, obviously. More inclusion. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't like arguments. And for me, like all of these Scala community arguments, I'm telling you, like when I was made redundant, I was considering to do other kind of jobs. I was applying not just software engineering, but also data engineering, site reliability, DevOps,
Yeah.
like because it makes the community so unattractive.
Yeah.
That myself personally, I switched off. I don't care. I don't read Twitter. Like, I just want to work. You know, I want to work. I want to, you know, earn my salary. I want to spend, you know, my money somewhere in the shop.
Yeah. Just time with your friends.
Of course, like I like community. I like a feeling
Yeah.
of belonging to a community when it's something friendly.
And an accepting community
Yeah. So
for
like
your job, but not for your like personal views to be
Yeah.
so.
But I think also with this virus is like all of us we have kind of this time because now
Too
we
much
don't
time
have
on your hands.
yeah we don't have conferences at the moment,
No.
so it is a time that, because like what was happening before, I would hear people saying, no, I will not go to this conference because that person is a speaker. I will not go to this conference. We have no conferences, guys, at the moment. So like take a step back and think about your behavior. So there is no conferences. Like even us, like our community, Anita, we used to organize meetups, even here in North Street in Capital One. We even cannot organize these meetups anymore because it's not the same. So yeah, maybe it's time for us to pause and think. What do we really want? Because I believe like there should be more inclusion also. Like for me, inclusion is not like just diversity in terms of gender, just diversity in terms of you know, ethnicity, but also like we all can have different opinions, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
We can have different opinions.
Yeah.
It's not.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
You know, like so for me, definitely, I also like to, you know, have kind of
Separation.
different choice. But you know, like this is my job, this is my free time,
Yeah.
this is, you know, my gym, this is whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
you know, for me, job is just a job.
Yeah.
Language, in the end of the day, is not my religion. It's not like, yeah, I don't, you know, worship monas. So it's like, for me, I don't, it's just, you know, we shouldn't
No.
argue. And I believe we are all like, I don't know, I would like to see more talks. I would like to see more cool things instead of like opening Twitter, saying
Yeah.
all of this.
For the future then, definitely more diversity, more inclusion, more women in talks at conferences.
No, not just women, you know, non-binary folks,
Non-binary,
underrepresented
yeah.
folks, everyone, more
Everyone.
everyone, yeah.
Okay. And just more talks in general, more conferences again. Once again, hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully when Corona stops, because at the moment no conferences, yeah. Heartbreaking.
I know.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for talking to us today. Honestly, it's been so lovely talking to you,
Thank
and I feel like I have learned a lot. So yeah,
Thank
so
you.
much.
Likewise.